There's something eerie about a final act that happens in front of everyone. The stage, the spotlight, the roar of the crowd. It's supposed to be the safest place for a performer, but sometimes the applause becomes a haunting echo. What happens when the curtain call is not planned and the end is real? You're about to hear stories that prove truth can be stranger and far more chilling than fiction. Leslie Harvey. Imagine being at a rock concert, watching a guitarist pour his soul into the music, when suddenly the sound cuts off in the most tragic way possible. Leslie Harvey, guitarist for the Scottish blues rock band Stone the Crows, met his fate in front of fans in 1972. During a live gig in Swansea, Harvey stepped onto a stage microphone that wasn't properly grounded. The result? A surge of electricity shot through him. The crowd thought it was part of the show at first. The idea of a young, vibrant musician being cut down mid-performance was too shocking to process. Bandmates rushed to help, but the damage was done. At just 27 years old, Harvey's career and life ended instantly in a moment of pure tragedy. What makes this story even more unsettling is the irony. Stone the Crows were on the brink of bigger success, with Harvey considered their secret weapon. Instead of breaking into stardom, they became linked forever with this nightmare. Leslie's death served as a wake-up call for the live music industry about stage safety, but for those in the audience, it was a scene burned into memory. A moment of applause turned into stunned silence. J.I. Rodell. Death during a comedy talk show? It happened. J.I. Rodell, the publisher who championed health and organic living, ironically passed away on live television in 1971. He was a guest on The Dick Cavett Show, sitting comfortably in the spotlight, cracking jokes and sharing his philosophies on wellness. He was 72, full of energy, and showing no signs of slowing down, until suddenly he did. In the middle of the taping, Rodell slumped in his chair. The audience laughed, assuming it was a gag. After all, unexpected antics often spice up a talk show. But within moments it became horribly clear this was no skit. Medics rushed in, but nothing could be done. Rodell had died right there, with cameras rolling. The episode never aired, but stories of that day spread quickly. Imagine promoting the virtues of healthy living, only to exit in the least expected setting possible, a television studio. Cavett himself admitted the experience haunted him for years, proving that the line between performance and reality can dissolve in a single second. For viewers and guests alike, it was a chilling reminder that the stage does not discriminate. Even those who seemed invincible weren't untouchable. Edith Webster. Now picture this, a veteran actress pouring her heart into a performance, singing a song with the haunting title, "Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone." Edith Webster had been a beloved figure in local theater circles, admired for her passion and persistence. In 1986, during a stage play in Maryland, she delivered that song with all the conviction of someone who had lived a full life in the arts. And then, just as the applause swelled, she collapsed. The audience clapped louder, convinced it was scripted brilliance. Think about it, dying while singing a farewell song. It sounded like theatrical perfection. Except tragically, it wasn't. Webster had suffered a fatal heart attack, and what seemed like a dramatic finale turned out to be her very last performance. Her fellow cast members and crew scrambled in confusion, trying to save her. But despite their efforts, Webster was pronounced dead soon after. The irony of her final song choice stunned the theater world and turned her into a local legend. Edith Webster's passing reminds us that some exits feel almost too poetic to be real. Her story still circulates among actors as a chilling, cautionary tale. The stage doesn't always give you a chance for an encore. Mark Sandman. When you name your band Morphine, you're already courting an aura of darkness and mystery. Mark Sandman, the group's bassist and vocalist, was known for pushing boundaries with deep grooves and an unconventional style. By the late 1990s, Morphine had carved out a loyal following across Europe. But during a festival gig in Italy in 1999, Sandman's career and life ended in an instant. While performing on stage, Sandman suddenly collapsed. Fans thought it was stage theater, a bit of rock star drama. But as minutes ticked by, it became clear something was terribly wrong. Paramedics rushed in, only to confirm that Sandman had suffered a fatal heart attack. He was just 46 years old. The audience, many of them lifelong fans, were left in stunned disbelief. Morphine's music, known for its moody, hypnotic energy, suddenly had a tragic shadow attached to it. The loss of Sandman wasn't just the end of a performance, it was the end of a sound, a voice, a presence that couldn't be replicated. In the world of rock, untimely deaths aren't rare, but to see it happen live, right in front of you, adds an unforgettable sting. For Morphine fans, July 3rd, 1999, will always be remembered as the day the music truly stopped. Leonard Warren. Opera houses are places of grandeur, passion, and flawless precision, but sometimes even the most dramatic stage scripts can't prepare audiences for the real thing. Leonard Warren, one of the greatest American baritones of the 20th century, had a voice that could shake the rafters. On March 4th, 1960, during a performance of Verdi's La Forza del Destino at the Metropolitan Opera in New York, Warren stunned the audience, but not in the way he had planned. Midway through the opera, after delivering one of his most powerful arias, Warren suddenly collapsed on stage. At first, many thought it was a daring bit of theater, a flourish to match the heavy drama of the piece, but the orchestra faltered, the cast froze, and the curtain quickly came down. Behind the scenes, doctors scrambled to revive him. The verdict, a massive brain hemorrhage. In a cruel twist of fate, one of opera's brightest stars died in the very spot that had defined his brilliance, the stage of the Met. He was only 48. The news spread quickly through the music world. Warren's death didn't just silence a great voice. It reminded everyone that even the most commanding performers are fragile in the face of fate. For the audience, it was an opera ending far darker than anything Verdi had ever written. Carmen Miranda. She was the Brazilian bombshell, famous for her dazzling costumes and fruit-laden hats. Carmen Miranda wasn't just a singer and dancer. She was an international icon, lighting up both Broadway and Hollywood with unmatched charisma. But in 1955, her vibrant story took a sudden and shocking turn during a live television performance. While filming the Jimmy Durante show, Carmen gave it her all, belting out songs and dancing in her signature style. Mid-performance, she stumbled, nearly collapsing, but brushed it off with a smile. Ever the consummate performer, she finished the routine like nothing had happened. Hours later at home, she suffered a massive heart attack and passed away at just 46 years old. The irony was bitter. Audiences had seen her falter on stage, interpreting it as part of her lively act. Nobody expected it was the first sign of her final moments. Miranda's death sent shockwaves through fans across the globe. Her energy seemed endless, her persona larger than life. And yet her last performance carried a haunting undertone, a reminder that behind the glitter and glamour, mortality lurks even in the brightest stars. To this day, Carmen Miranda remains a symbol of joy, but also a chilling example of how a stage exit can become permanent. Jane Little. Some performers truly give their life to music. Jane Little did, literally. As a double bassist for the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, she had been performing for over 70 years, holding a world record for the longest professional tenure with one orchestra. By 2016, she was a living legend in classical music, admired for her endurance and passion. On May 15th of that year, during a concert at Symphony Hall in Atlanta, Little was performing There's No Business Like Show Business. In a twist that feels almost too poetic, she collapsed mid-performance. Fellow musicians and stage staff rushed to her side, but within minutes, Jane Little was gone. She was 87 years old and had passed away in the very spot she loved most, the stage. Think about the symbolism. She entered the orchestra at just 16, and for more than 7 decades, she never left. Her final bow wasn't planned, but it was fitting. No scandal, no tragedy behind the scenes, just a musician who literally played until her very last breath. Her passing stunned the classical world, but also left behind a bittersweet legacy. Jane Little's story proves that sometimes the phrase, "till the end," is more than a figure of speech, it's a lived reality. Joseph Keilberth. When you attend the opera, you expect soaring voices, stirring music, and high drama. But what unfolded at Munich's National Theater on July 20th, 1968, was a drama no composer could have scripted. Joseph Keilberth, a renowned German conductor, was in the middle of leading Wagner's Tristan und Isolde. His baton was steady, his reputation unmatched. Then, in a matter of moments, tragedy struck. During the second act, Keilberth suddenly slumped forward and collapsed on the conductor's podium. At first, some in the audience thought it was part of the theatrical staging. After all, Wagner's opera is filled with death and despair. But the music halted as orchestra members realized their maestro was no longer conducting. Despite desperate attempts to revive him backstage, Keilberth was pronounced dead of a heart attack. He was just 60 years old, still in his prime as one of Germany's leading conductors. For those present, the scene was surreal. A performance about doomed lovers became the real backdrop for a conductor's final breath. Keilberth's legacy lives on in recordings, but those who saw his last concert can never forget how the line between art and reality blurred that night. The applause that followed wasn't for the opera, it was for a man's final bow. Johnny Ace. It was Christmas night, 1954, and rising rhythm and blues star Johnny Ace was about to perform in Houston, Texas. Known for his smooth vocals and hit singles like Pledging My Love, Ace was quickly becoming one of the hottest young performers of the era. But what happened backstage and in front of friends and colleagues turned his story into one of music's strangest tragedies. During a break between sets, Ace was reportedly fooling around with a revolver, showing it off in a casual, almost careless way. Witnesses claimed he was joking, insisting it wasn't loaded. But in a split second, the fun turned into horror. The gun discharged and Ace collapsed. At only 25 years old, his promising career ended before it could fully bloom. Though the incident didn't happen directly on stage, the audience was waiting for his return, unaware that the man they had come to see was gone forever. The news spread quickly, casting a dark shadow over the holiday season. Fans were left stunned by the sudden, reckless nature of his passing. Johnny Ace became a legend almost instantly, not just for his music, but for the tragic way he left. To this day, his story serves as a chilling reminder of how quickly life can change, especially under the spotlight. Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell's voice could cut through steel. As the frontman of Soundgarden and later Audioslave, he helped shape the sound of grunge and alternative rock. Fans around the world revered him for his raw energy, haunting lyrics, and stage charisma. But in 2017, after a concert in Detroit, his story took a devastating turn that still echoes across the music world. Cornell had just wrapped up a Soundgarden show, his voice still ringing in the ears of thousands. But soon after, in his hotel room, he was found unresponsive. The concert had been his last. At just 52 years old, one of rock's most recognizable voices was silenced forever. For those at the Detroit concert, the shock was overwhelming. They had seen him alive, vibrant and powerful only moments earlier. Nobody could have guessed they were witnessing a final performance. The energy of the show, the applause, and the connection between artist and audience became a heartbreaking farewell in disguise. Cornell's passing left a hole in modern rock that has never truly healed. Fans continue to revisit that last performance, studying every song, every lyric, for hidden meaning. It's a reminder of how fragile even the strongest performers can be. His voice lingers, but the man himself exited right after giving one last unforgettable show. John Ritter. John Ritter was television royalty, beloved for his role in Three's Company and countless other shows. His charm, physical comedy, and warmth made him one of Hollywood's most trusted leading men. But in September 2003, Ritter's story took a sudden and shocking turn. While rehearsing for his sitcom 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, Ritter fell ill on set. At first, colleagues thought he was just feeling faint from exhaustion. After all, long shooting days often left actors drained. But Ritter collapsed, and it quickly became clear something was terribly wrong. Crew members called for emergency help as Ritter was rushed to the hospital across the street. Doctors discovered he was suffering from an aortic dissection, a rare and often fatal condition. Despite their best efforts, Ritter died that night at the age of 54. For fans, the news was almost impossible to accept. Just hours before, He had been cracking jokes and delivering lines in front of a live audience. Ritter's death shocked Hollywood not only because of his age, but because of how sudden and public it all was. His final hours unfolded in front of colleagues, crew, and fans, leaving behind a void in comedy that still resonates. Ritter proved that laughter can echo forever, even when the person behind it is gone. Paul McCulla. Comedy teams often live and die by timing, and Paul McCulla, one half of the vaudeville duo Wheeler and McCulla, had impeccable timing. But in 1936, his timing turned tragically final. After completing a performance with his partner, Bobby Wheeler, McCulla was exhausted from years of grueling touring and the ups and downs of show business. Following a visit to a barber in Massachusetts, McCulla suddenly collapsed outside, shocking those nearby. Reports at the time described the incident as a breakdown, but for fans, the truth was simpler and sadder. McCulla's health had finally given out under the weight of endless performing. Though his passing didn't occur on a grand Broadway stage, the fact that it happened so immediately after a show blurred the line between life on and off the boards. Audiences who had cheered for him just hours earlier now mourned a man who had given everything to entertainment. Paul McCulla's story is often overshadowed by bigger names of the vaudeville era, but it remains a reminder that the lives of performers don't always match the smiles they bring. For the audience, the laughter ended abruptly, and for the stage, it was another silent goodbye.